and wanted to welcome everybody to our April training and inspiration as we take a break from accountability group. We're going to be doing this tonight and on the 24th. Next week, we are not going to be meeting up for training and inspiration because many of us are going to be taking part in Melissa Eichenhorst training. So bring your people here. Come and be a part of this year. We've got some really great training tonight and 2 weeks from now. But most importantly, we've got time to come together as a team and we thrive and we grow together. We're going to hear some really incredible inspiration. And tonight we get to hear from Rachel Allen, our beloved Rachel Allen. So you guys take a listen to her as she tells a little bit of her health story and be thinking who in your life might resonate with Rachel and her story. And maybe you can share her story and maybe that can be a blessing for that person, just as it's been for Rachel. Go ahead, Rach.
All right. So I am Rachel Allen. I have been taking Plexus for about 2 years now and have been sharing pretty much since I first started. So I started for a reason that is kind of different than most. I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer when I was only 28 years old. I spent the first, the first probably 2 months of my cancer journey in and out of the hospital. I had countless surgeries. I had chemo for 6 years. Initially, I was going every single week for chemo, and we kind of scaled it back to once a month for the next 3 or 4 years. And so, as a part of all of that chemo journey that I was on, my body took a terrible toll. Chemo kills the good along with the bad. So, although it was keeping the cancer away, it was truly saving my life, keeping me alive. It was rotting away at everything inside of me. So I had this little medicine counter. I would fill it up with 35 pills every single solitary week. I was on meds for reflux, nausea, anxiety, sleep. I was on B12 shots, on mega doses of vitamin D twice a week because I couldn't absorb any of the nutrients in my body or in my food. I was just feeling really gross. About 4 years into my colon cancer journey, I also found out that I had uterine cancer. So I had to have a hysterectomy, which sent me into menopause in my early 30s. So then I got on medicine for that as well. And along with that medicine came 35 pounds pretty much overnight. I mean, we could track it. And early in my colon cancer days, we had to track everything that went in and out of my body. I had this little like a marker board in my bathroom, and I would have to write everything that went in and went out, and we tracked my weight, and it would just fall off. Like, it was terrifying. I could sit there after my kids went to bed and eat a whole bag, like a family size bag of Ruffles, and wake up the next morning and weigh 4 pounds less because I just wasn't absorbing anything. So post hysterectomy, I gained 30 pounds for absolutely no reason. So it was very frustrating, kind of scary. I have lots of fear and issues around weight loss and weight gain because of all of that. However, so I started doing research into what I needed to do to prevent it from coming back and how I could best heal my body, protect myself, protect my gut. And I knew that I needed to take some probiotics, and I've been hearing more about prebiotics. So my sister and I have been talking. One of her good friends is actually a jewel in Plexus on a different team. And so we had been talking about what she did and is that something that we should look into. And right in the midst of that conversation, I got a message from Carrie Compton, and it was a voice message, which just speaks volumes to that, because I never would have reached out to her a day in my life because it was scary and, I don't know, different. However, in the midst of my sister and I talking, she messaged and asked if I'd ever thought about trying Plexus or doing anything like this. And I responded and said, actually, yeah, I have. I was just talking to my sister about that. So I'm one of those strange people that decided to order within, 24 hours maybe. I ordered on New Year's Eve. I know I was part of a 100-person reach out, which is kind of fun to know on this side of things. However, besides the business side of things and all of that, health-wise, I have been able to I slowly weaned myself off of my medicines. So I now don't take anything for anxiety or nausea or sleep or reflux, nothing like that. My sister's best friend or good friend is a jewel. My sister's not a jewel. So I still have to take my hormone replacement therapy from my hysterectomy. However, I was able to actually shake the weight that was hanging on to me for so long after that hysterectomy. So I have lost all 30 of my hysterectomy weight gain pounds, and I've gotten off of all of my meds. I have energy. I don't feel like I'm still fighting a cancer battle because it is long behind me. And I am so stinking close to being able to actually use the cure word. We've got 2 more weeks and I'll actually be allowed to say that I'm cured. So I feel like I'm truly healthy and like I'm in control of my health again, and I'm not just fighting that battle. So that is what I'm most thankful for Plexus about. Oh, I have one more thing. Through all of that, when my cancer spread, because it was stage 4, that meant that it spread to my liver, and I had to have this thing called the nano knife. Basically, they electrocuted my liver to get the tumor to go away. So my liver enzymes have been off the charts ever since then. And over the course of the first year on Plexus, we watched my blood work every 3 months, and we watched my liver enzymes come from skyrocket off the charts to the normal range. So for the first time in 11 years, I'm fully within the normal range in absolutely every bit of my blood work too. So.
I mean, all of us are in tears. Ah, so beautiful. Rach, will you tell everyone which products you started with, how long you were on them before you were starting to see some changes, and maybe what products you are on now fully?
Okay, so I started on Triplex. I noticed better sleep and energy within the first week or two. I noticed my face looking slimmer probably a couple months in. I don't remember exactly when all the weight came off. I do know that sugar cravings went away very quickly because by Valentine's Day, I was not eating the Valentine's candy that was in my house. And I ordered on New Year's Eve. So I know that much of a timeline. I started Triplex on day 1, could still take it now. I added in Ease after about 6 months, and I added in X Factor Plus. I don't remember when, and I started Metaburn after about a year because my sister got put on thyroid meds, and she's my older sister, so I want to do whatever I can to not need thyroid meds someday, hopefully.
Which Slim do you like? Which do you prefer?
I kind of go back and forth. I started on the microbiome activating, but lately I've been on hunger control more. After the last reset, I switched to hunger control.
Beautiful. Does anybody have any other questions for Rachel? What we are doing, what we are sharing matters. The reason that we push everybody to get into activity and to send those invitational messages is because of stories like this. Stories of life change, of health change. And Rachel's not the only one on our team within the Plexus company that has seen life-changing results. So let this build your belief. Let this fuel you that maybe you haven't had a huge change in your health. And so maybe your belief is like, I don't really know. Go and hear more stories like this. Build your belief so you can go and confidently share and help others and be a blessing to others. Okay, I'm going to, Rachel, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for making a way to do this and not have to be in the car, and Caroline and all of her cheer stuff. So I really appreciate it. You guys send Rachel a thank you message when we're done. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share our screen because I've put together a PowerPoint. I put together a little PowerPoint that I would like to go over with everybody. I'm going to try to see if there's no way for me to see the chat, is there? Kara and Rachel, I see you guys. There's no way for me to see a chat, right, in this when I'm presenting, I don't think. All right, well, okay, so I'm going to, because I want this to be interactive, and so I'm going to ask for you guys to unmute yourself, because like I said, I can only see Rachel and Kara right now. I can't see the chat. So unmute yourself when I'm asking some questions so we can have an interactive conversation. If you don't have a pen and paper or your phone nearby where you can take some notes, I ask you to go do that because I want this to help you. What we're talking about today, I feel very passionate about. We're doing some sort of like a little series, what's next series, because after the conversation that we had with Darcy Groton, thank you again, Hannah, for putting that together. Oh, hold on, maybe I can't see the chat. No, I can't. Okay. Thank you, Hannah, for putting that together with Darcy. But Darcy was talking about this system that she and her team have, and like, well, what's next? Like, what do you do when somebody asks you, X, Y, and Z? What do you do? What's your next step? And I got to talking with some of our jewels and just saying, like, I think we need to just kind of be on repeat with that. And so tonight we're going to talk about how to have a firm foundation yourself as a business leader, because if you don't have that foundation, it's going to be real hard for you to go and lead other people in a business. And so this is like a two-part series. So tonight we're going to talk about having a firm foundation and what that looks like. And then next in 2 weeks on April 24th, we're going to be talking about how to lead your team with confidence, your future team if you don't have one right now. So again, interactive. I would like for a few of you to unmute yourselves. What would you say makes for a solid foundation with your Plexus business? Like, what gives you foundation that's solid as you're growing your Plexus business? Unmute yourself, a few of you, please.
Relationships.
Okay, relationships. What else?
Consistency.
Perfect. What else?
Self-awareness.
Ooh, that's a good one. Just read about that. We'll do one more.
Discipline.
Ooh, yeah. You're speaking my language, Ab. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Yay, I love interaction. All right, so I've been doing this for 6.5 years. And I have been just watching like my own personal journey of growing a business from, a fearful, scared, skeptical ambassador to a super, super passionate, high belief diamond. So I've seen what it takes on my personal level, but I've also seen over these 6.5 years, different leaders within this company succeeding or not succeeding. And there seem to be 4 common areas that everyone that I have seen have success in this business, they possess. So as I'm thinking through this, and as I've been thinking through this over the past 4 or 6 years, I've found 4 different areas that create a firm foundation within your business. Can you guys see? Sorry, you guys, this is a little bit, there we go. The 4 that I have seen would be vision for a firm foundation for you. Vision, belief, action, and resilience. And so we're going to talk through each of these, and again, be interactive in a moment. So the first one is vision. So unmute yourself in just a second. I want you to tell us real quick, why are you here? Why are you choosing to show up every day to your Plexus business? Why are you sacrificing your Monday night when maybe you could be out on a walk, or you could be watching Netflix, or you could be scrolling, whatever? Why are you making a sacrifice tonight? Why are you here pursuing this business? I want a few of you to unmute yourselves.
For me, my kids.
What do you mean?
Like college education.
I love that. Who else?
Bettering my family to be able to actually afford things so that they can have the life that I didn't have.
I love that, Hall.
For me, it's pushing myself to actually become a better person all around and make better choices so that I can be better in all areas of my life.
I love that, Ash. One more. Why are you here? Get specific. Why are you showing up?
I second that. Here to just be a better person for myself. I struggled with a lot mentally, but and for my daughter, I wanted to be a better mom. But I choose to show up every day because I want it. I want to hit those goals. I want to be a better person. I want to do it for me and for my family.
I love that. Thank you, guys. Thank you for this vulnerability and being honest and open. I really, really love that. What I have found is that you can have all of the skill in the world. You can be really gifted in all these areas, but if you don't have a vision or if you don't have like a strong belief with why you're here, if you don't have something that's driving you, it's hard to continue. It's hard if you don't have a solid vision. It's hard to keep going on the hard days, because we all are going to have hard days. Whatever we pursue in this world, we will have hiccups. We will have things in the way. And so if you don't have a strong vision to hold on to, it's going to be hard to keep pushing. And I know for me, when I started, I had small visions and I had huge visions. So like for me, I had visions, and I got specific. I had visions of being able to put my daughters into extracurricular activities without having to dive into our savings or have to go into our, grocery budget. I had visions of going to the grocery store and not sweating profusely at checkout because I wasn't sure if we'd have enough money in our checking account. I had visions of changing things for our family, of moving our family to a dream neighborhood and getting our kids into different schools, and allowing my husband to go and pursue the things that he wanted, and us to be able to work together from home. Like I had these huge visions and small visions, but those drove me through the really, really hard days. So Bob Goff, he says, once you get your ambitions in sight, no amount of failure will keep you from trying again, as long as you don't yield to the disappointments. If you have clarity on what you want and why you want it, you'll have what it takes to make as many attempts as needed to get there. So your vision, your ambitions, your goals, your dreams should be motivating you to show up daily. They should be driving you to keep going no matter the failures, no matter how hard it can be, no matter how long it might take. When you have your ambitions in sight, no amount of failure is going to keep you from trying again. So I'm going to ask you, be reflective. Are you at that place? Do you have vision for what this could be that's so strong that even on your hard days, you are still motivated to show up? It may not be fun. You may not want to show up, but that is driving you. If you're not in that place, like if you're like, no, like I don't really have something that's like drawing me to come and do this and to give it 110%, then I'm going to challenge you to sit down. I'm going to challenge you to speak with your spouse or your best friend or your upline and start dreaming. Start thinking, what could this be? Like Rhonda said, like, what could this be for my family? What could this be, like Holly said, having a little bit more margin so I can change things for my family, so that way they can have what I didn't get to have. Be specific, write them down, put them in your notes section of your phone, put them as the backdrop of your phone, put them on little post-its in your bathroom. Be surrounding yourself with what this could be for your family. Because if you have that strong vision, and if you do not stay attached to the disappointments, nothing is going to stop you. So the next area of what like creates a firm foundation that I see, you've got vision, and now the next area would be belief. And like I was saying, you can have all the skills, but if you don't have that vision and if you don't have that belief, it's going to be a really long road and you're not going to see much success. So when I talk about belief, I'm talking about, like I have here, how do you believe in yourself? What's your belief like in the products? What's your belief like in this business model and sharing Plexus? Like where does your belief lie? So I am going to pull up my chat. I have to do it separately, but I want to see on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being like not at all, and 10 being like, oh yeah, absolutely. I want you to write in the chat right here, on a scale of 1 to 10, how is your belief in those areas? How's your belief right now, specifically in yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10? How's your belief in yourself with this business? Put in the chat. This is beautiful. Thank you guys. This is really, really good. Okay, now I want you guys to put in the chat, how's your belief in the products? On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being low, 10 being high, how's your belief in the products? And be honest, there's no judgment here at all. So interesting. For the most part, the belief in the products is really high. And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with coming off of Rachel's amazing story. Everybody's belief is like skyrocketing now. But interesting, the belief in yourself, I saw a lot of highs, but I also saw a lot of lows. So that's an area that maybe we need to be working on, that belief in yourself. So I want to ask a question and I want to be interactive. For those of you that have high belief in yourself, that were rated anywhere from 7, 8, or 9, or 10, I want you to unmute yourself. How have you built that belief in yourself? Unmute yourself, a few of you. How have you built that belief in yourself? Okay, Kara Carrington, I saw you did a 9. How have you, and hopefully you're still on here, how have you built that belief in yourself?
Yep, I was about to unmute myself. I think it has not come from products specific, like from my Plexus journey, and like in my life in general, I have always had just like this I have been like really set on something. I've put my mind on something and I've just like, I guess you can say like I make promises to myself and then I do them. Like I like have fulfilled promises that I've made to myself.
I
And
love
so
that.
like just I wanted to go to this school and I did it and I did this and I would want to get an A on this test. And so I'd like work really hard and then I would do it. And then it was just kind of this grit commitment. And so being able to keep promises to myself, like I know that when I put my mind on something, like I'm going to do it. I think that's starting smaller and keeping that promise and then not giving up on that. And just it builds and builds and builds.
That's right. That's beautiful. Thank you, Kara. Okay, one more person. How have you built belief in yourself? I know these are kind of like a weird questions, but I think you can go with me here. Like you heard Kara's response, like that was great. How have you built belief in yourself? Or if somebody comes to you and says, how do you build belief in yourself? I don't know how to build my belief. What would you say?
I think just being active in the business side, and like, and I've heard this in so many people, when you stop, stop in fear and you freeze yourself. When you keep going, you're constantly building belief in yourself, just as a person. But when you believe in yourself as a person through the books that we're doing, through the podcasts that we listen to, and we're learning from people who've gone through that same thing. And so when you've gone from this same spot and saying, hey, this is what I did to overcome, it just builds the belief that like to just keep going.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Kel. So that's what I said here. How do you build your belief in yourself? Go do it. Go prove to yourself that you can do it. And the way you prove to yourself, so that's what Kara said, she proved to herself. She kept her word. So she proved to herself she could do it. And then you can go prove to yourself you do it by getting into action. Exactly like Kelly said. And I didn't tell these people to say this. This is like I didn't give them like an under the table $10 to come and say this answer. That's exactly right. You build belief in yourself by doing it. Go prove to yourself that you can do it. And we're going to talk more in detail here on the action piece in a moment. But the way that you go prove to yourself by doing it is getting into those personal IPAs, doing your reach outs, doing your follow-ups, doing your customer care, sharing on social media, training. If you guys remember, those are all the things that we do in Accountability Group. That's what we're promoting in Accountability Group are those non-negotiables. So go and do the hard things and prove to yourself. That's going to build your confidence. That's going to build your belief. And I have a story on that I'm going to address in a few minutes about our very own Hannah Richardson in just a minute about that belief and going and doing the hard things. So then real quick, one or two people share, there were a lot of you that have really high belief in the products. So a few of you unmute. How have you built belief in the products? Because all of us are new. All of us at some point were brand new and had to learn about the products. How has your belief been built in the products? Go ahead and unmute.
Research and testimonies, and especially the ones that have gone before, but also the ones that I have signed up.
That's great. So like your customer care, you're hearing about what's helping certain people, you're learning, you're teaching yourself, learning about testimonials. Awesome. Thank you,
Yes.
Melissa. One more person. How have you specifically built belief in the products? Because listen, we're all learning from one another. So what you've done could help somebody else be like, oh, I didn't even think of that. What's one way you've built belief in the products?
Personally taking the products, and then we went through a time where I couldn't afford the product for a little bit, and so I wasn't able to have it. And then realizing how much it really did impact me. Like I just thought, well, maybe it was just in my head because I was just so in love with it. No, no, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Your own personal story, like Melissa said, like going and hearing from other people how the products have helped them. So this is something that I did because I am not somebody that is like super smart in sciencey things like this. And so I was pretty overwhelmed with the whole product knowledge. And so I just went and got 3x5 cards or 4x6, whatever. If you're not muted, will you just make sure you mute yourself? I think there might be a little bit of feedback. But I got a 4x6 note card and I would write SLIM at the very top. And I would write out like bullet points of what I was learning. And I would learn about SLIM through the info sheet, or I would watch different training videos on SLIM specific, or I would like go and see different ailments from testimonial pages and see, okay, well, this person took SLIM and this person had this person took SLIM and this person had this. So I would just like kind of try to teach myself, but have it on little cards. And I remember when I first started, somebody saying, like a diamond that I was training under, she said, learn, I think it was actually Jen Leith, and she said, learn a sentence about each product. Just learn one sentence about each product. And we don't have a huge product line. And so that's definitely very doable. And you can, again, you can go through the info sheets. We have a YouTube trainings all over the place on Plexus Worldwide. We also have some really smart jewels out there who have done different trainings on YouTube. But I would start with Plexus Worldwide YouTube and go and take a look at some of their different product videos that we have. If you go to Rising Jewels, most of you guys should be in Rising Jewels. If you're on this call tonight, you probably are. If you go into the pinned or the featured post, that section right there is gold. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's at the very top of our page and it just says pinned or featured post. And I think I have about 18 of them. And I put what I think to be like the tippy top most important post in there. And so I have a product toolbox where we have all sorts of videos and reading material and resources over the product. So take advantage of that. Go and teach yourself, maybe once a day, once every other day. Just go and maybe read an info page. That again is going to build your belief. That's going to build your confidence, and then that's going to build your confidence in yourself as you're going and sharing this with other people. All right, so now, and Bob Goff, big old Bob, he says, people who are successfully chasing their ambitions are willing to lay aside some of their own pride to get there. They stop caring how they look while they're doing it. Now, I chose to put this quote in here because I think that belief and fear are so oftentimes linked together. And what I mean by that is if I have a low belief in myself, I have a really high fear that I'm going to mess it up, or people are going to be thinking things about me, or when somebody says no, it's about me because I have a low belief and I'm really like fearful of what other people think. And the opposite is true. If I have really high belief, and this has been a process for me. I started off with the low belief and really high fear, and now that has changed. That's tilted, that's switched, where I have such high belief that when people say no, or when people quit, I don't have that fear of, oh, the products don't work, or, oh, it was me, I messed something up. And so I think that belief and fear go hand in hand. And so I loved him saying, like, when we have ambitions, we can set our pride to the side and stop caring about what other people think, or stop caring about how it looks as we're pursuing those ambitions. So that, to me, that's really, really empowering. And I hope that that's empowering for you as well. So the third area that I believe is going to create a really firm foundation in your business is action. This is something I am extremely passionate about because 9 times out of 10, when I talk to people who are struggling with their business, with overwhelm, with anxiety, with lack of boundaries, they're frustrated with their business, oftentimes it's that they are not in consistent action. Maybe they'll do, a challenge, or maybe they'll show up to the team calls, or maybe every now and then they'll do a post, but they're not in that consistent action. And that really, really hurts their mindset. That really hurts their business and their belief. And so action is a huge part of your foundation being firm within this company. So I want you to ask yourself, and I'm going to go back to the chat. Everybody get ready, get your chat fingers ready. I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself. And I want you to tell me how many days a week. So in 5 days, let's say 5 days, Monday through Friday. How many days a week are you sitting down to do intentional, focused work with Plexus? And that does not mean mindlessly scrolling. That does not mean getting into Marco Polos with your sideline. That means like intentional work, reaching out, following up, sharing on social media, training yourself. How many days a week would you say that you sit down to get into action? Go ahead. Thank you guys for this. This is really, really good. I think it's really important, just like, I think it was it Kylie? It was fast. Somebody said being self-aware. I think that that's an extremely important part of our business, is to be self-aware, because I know oftentimes, like when I first started my Plexus business, I was thinking Plexus all of the time. Like when I would go to bed at night, when I lay my head on the pillow, I was thinking about Plexus. When I would wake up, I was thinking about Plexus. But thinking about Plexus versus working your business are two very different things. And so I think it's really important to be reflective of, okay, honestly, how much time am I actually sitting down to do my work? So thank you guys for being honest in that. Action cures almost all overwhelm and stress. I'm telling you that right now, because I've seen it to be true. I've seen it to be true. Action cures so much overwhelm and so much stress when you can be intentional in it. I was also going to say that the action and belief parts are also very closely linked. So you know how I was saying belief and fear is very closely linked. Action and belief are so closely linked. So when your belief is really high, you want to get in and you want to be sharing with people. But when your belief is low, that fear kicks in, and those excuses, maybe those hesitancies, avoidances, they kick in. And so when your belief is high, that's when you see really, really great activity. So how do you build that belief to then build that activity? It's like the cycle. Like you get into activity and that belief is built. That belief is built, so you're having that activity. Does that make sense? Like it's this beautiful cycle. It's not hard, it's simple, but you have to stay in that consistent cycle. So there's a lady who is a multi-million-dollar annual income earner. Her name is Sarah Robbins. She goes by Sarah Rockin' Robbins, and she's with Rodan and Fields. She was a former kindergarten teacher, and she has multiple books out, podcasts out, and she was one of the first books that I read when I first started my Plexus business, How to Rock Your Network Marketing Business. And I took from that book, she said this quote. I'll read it to you all who might be driving or unable to look at the screen. She says, the cure to what ails you and your business is your personal activity. Don't blame your progress or pace on your team. Take personal responsibility for your activity and respect your team's effort and patience. Never stop recruiting new customers and business partners. Focus on daily activity to progress towards success. And this, she shares this here. She says, my rule for myself is 5 contacts per day keeps leads coming my way. If I'm home, I'm making 5 calls to people on my contact list. If I'm out, I'm handing out 5 business cards and having conversations with people I meet. I'm not done until I've made those connections and continue to work through my numbers, which in turn increase my odds for success. So when she shared that, I thought about Darcy. Do you guys remember Darcy was our guest speaker last week, and she was talking about that. She was saying that once she got out of her head and she started to get into action, she had this discipline where she would not go to sleep until she reached X goal, whether I think that was what, like reaching out to 3 people or following up with 3 people. And so she implemented this discipline with her business. So she had small daily goals, just as this woman here. She had small daily goals of having a certain number of contacts she was reaching out to, and she couldn't go to bed until she had done that. And so I encourage you guys, make those small goals. I think so often with that vision piece, we have these big goals and dreams and ambitions, but sometimes they're so big, they can deter us from getting started. They can deter us from getting into activity. And so I want to encourage you to have some small goals, some small wins, so that way that's continuing that momentum, that motivation for you to keep moving forward. So maybe 1 or 2 people, I want you to share, what is a must that you do when you sit down to work your business? And I'm talking to those of you who are consistent, like you are showing up to your business at least 3 or 4 times a week. What are musts that you do when you sit down to do your intentional business? Go ahead.
Probably looking for ways to expand my network because I've only been on social media for a couple of years. So just trying to build that network.
One more. Thanks, Elaine. That was great. One more. Carrie Compton, you're my consistent girl. Are you still here? I don't know. What do you do when you sit down to do your work?
I start with birthday messages because it's a good relationship builder, and I've shared this before, but those have turned into customers for me more than once lately. And I have made a goal this year to do at least 1 business reach out a day. And honestly, those used to be really hard for me, but they're not anymore because I believe in the business just as much as I believe in the products. So it's easy for me to reach out about that.
I love that. So if you're at a place where you're like, I want to get into activity, I want to sit down and I want to be intentional with what I'm doing. Like Carrie said, start with birthdays. You have birthdays every day, and that is a way to make it about the other person. Don't talk about Plexus, talk about the other person. Create that connection with that person. So start there, and then make a goal of, okay, I'm doing my birthdays, and now I'm going to reach out to 1 person. Every day, 5 days a week, I'm going to reach out to 1 person and invite them to come and do this. And then make another goal after you've done that for a couple of days. Maybe make a goal of reaching out to 2 people. Like, set small goals and then reward yourself at the end of the week when you've done all your birthdays and you've done your 1 or 2 reach outs a day. Go and reward yourself and go get a coffee at Starbucks or go on a walk for 45 minutes to reward yourself for that behavior. That is a great place to start. So I told you I was going to tell you guys a little story about Hannah. This goes back to the belief portion that we talked about and also with activity. So Hannah, I don't know, I hope you're on here, but Hannah is a Sapphire on our team. Look at those sweet little babies from a few years ago. We had just gone Diamond, and we were filming my Diamond doc. That's what this picture was from. But in January or February of 2017, I just started my business. And I had gone to church with Hannah. I did not know Hannah well at all. She was my pastor's daughter. I knew that she was a nurse and she was a college athlete. And I knew she cared about health and wellness. She was super cute. Her husband was really fun, but I just didn't know them very well. But I had this prompting in my heart, and I was scared to death, you guys. I wasn't even a silver ambassador, but I had this prompting in my heart to reach out to her and invite her to this event that Tamara was hosting. It was a VIP event where I could only invite 2 people to come and sit in on this call. And I just had this prompting in my heart to reach out to her. And I was scared to death. I could have had all the excuses, but I just felt like, okay, I just need to do this. And you guys, I will never forget. I can't remember if I called her or texted her or sent her a message. I can't remember, but I remember the moment I sent over that invite, that it was like this, like a physical feeling of, okay, Like I physically felt my comfort zone expand. And it was like this empowerment in me that even if she said no, like I did it. And I trusted the process. I was doing the system of what my upline had shared with me to do of, hey, I'm offering this event. I want you to go and invite somebody that you think would be amazing at this. Trust me and let me do the work for you. Like you go do the invite and I will take care of the rest. And here we are now, however many years later, and Hannah is a sapphire on our team. And who even knew that a month prior to me messaging her, she and her husband were praying for a way for her to be able to help their family provide a way to pay off debt. And here we are, years later, where they've paid off what, like $270,000 of debt because of her Plexus business. So there's no telling what can come when you stretch that comfort zone, when you trust the process, and when you get into activity. So, so important. All right, you guys, I know that this is going a little bit longer, but sorry, here we go. We just have a few more slides. Hopefully you're finding goodness in this. Winston Churchill says, success is stumbling from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Do you remember that quote that I gave you from Bob Goff the other day, or just a few minutes ago, where he was talking about how, like, if you have this vision and you're working towards it, you're going to make it. If you don't if you don't hold on to those disappointments. That's so very similar to what Winston Churchill is saying about, if you don't lose the enthusiasm as you're failing forward, you are going to find success. And then Megan Goff, who is a diamond within our company, love her deeply. She says, success doesn't often come to the most talented or the smartest. Doesn't that make us feel good? We don't have to be the smartest. We don't have to be the most talented. It comes to those who are diligent and consistent and those who put in massive action. And this is coming from a woman who has 7 children, who homeschools all of them. And she is a diamond and her husband is a diamond. And this is the magic sauce, or whatever that phrase is called, being diligent, being consistent, and getting into massive action. The fourth and the final foundation that I believe creates a very, very firm foundation with your business is resilience. I love this word, resilience. I'm so sorry, I've got a whole house full of people coming in from volleyball practice. Resilience is so, so important in this business. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of Bob Goff. He says, just because I've received a couple of no's doesn't mean I'm going to abandon an ambition. Don't you dare stop either. No miner strikes gold with the first swing of the pick. That is resiliency. You have a goal, you have an ambition, you have belief, you're getting into action, and you're not letting the disappointments emotionally sway you. You're not getting upset at the no's. You're not stopping because of the no's. You're not getting in your head and telling yourself stories. You have a belief in what you're doing, and you have a vision of where you're going. So don't stop. That is resilience. So a few scenarios, and I want to know by, I would say raise your hands, but I only see Carrie, Elaine, and Holly right now. So you 3 girls, raise your hands if you've experienced this. All right, so a few quick scenarios. So there are 3 phases of network marketing. Most people quit in the first phase of network marketing. That phase is where your efforts far outweigh your pay. So you're showing up, you're doing the work, you're working hard, you're putting in the hours, but maybe your pay is not reflecting that. So a lot of people quit in that first phase. Have you experienced that before? That frustration, that disappointment, that irritation of where your work is far outweighing your pay. A lot of people, they stop with that. They don't wait and get and work hard to get to where the efforts and the pay are equal. And even sweeter than that, when the pay far outweighs the effort. Those are the last 2 phases of network marketing. So if you're in that first phase and you're thinking this isn't really fun, I'm working a lot harder than my paycheck is showing, keep going. We all have been there. Keep going and keep working hard to grow and learn and change the things that need to be changed. Have that resilience, and then you are going to see that shift. Another scenario, how many of you guys started off with your warm market and you started sharing on social media and you have lots of people interested in your warm market, you started ranking up, you started making those bonuses, you started getting all this recognition, you started having people, or you were earning all these incentives and these prizes, and it was really fun. And then your warm markets kind of started to dry up, for a better use of terms. Like you were maybe not going as fast as you had, and you weren't earning the prizes as fast as you were, and you weren't getting the recognition that you once were. You weren't adding all of the people every month like you once were, and it wasn't as fun. And you had to make a choice of, am I going to stay here and learn and trust that process, or am I going to go and find another fun shiny object? How many of you experienced that before, where you have that high and now you're in the place of like, you've got to make that decision. Am I going to keep trusting this process and keep going, even though it may not be super fun right now? That happens to a lot of people. How many of you have been doing this for a little while and you're tired? You kind of are doing the slow fade. You're not really showing up to your business like you know you should. These are all areas of resilience. And the beautiful thing is you get to choose how you respond. You get to choose if you're going to be resilient. I want you to ask yourself, if you are in any of those positions, any of those scenarios where you're like, man, this is just, I don't know. This isn't really fun. My paycheck isn't as huge as I want. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm feeling really stressed. I want you to be honest with yourself, just like we talked about multiple times in this call, self-awareness. Ask yourself these questions. Take a screenshot of this if you would like. How's my belief in myself? And many of you, I think that's going to be the issue. Just seeing the chat, there are a lot of you that don't have high belief that you can do this. So that's my first suggestion of where to start proving to yourself that you can. How's your belief in yourself? Your belief in the products, your belief in the business model? Ask yourself and dive deep here. What is holding you back from giving it 110% of you? That doesn't mean you're working 24/7. That doesn't mean that anybody expects you to be living, breathing, pooping Plexus. We want you to have boundaries. That's super, super important to me. That's not what that means. But when you sit down to do your work, why are you not giving it everything that you are capable of giving it? What's holding you back? Ask yourself this honest question. Am I sitting down to intentional, focused work at least 2 to 3 times a week for an hour? For a long time, we thought that you could do this business in the nooks and crannies, which you can. Like if you want to get your products paid for, and if you're fine being, at the silver level, you could do this in the nooks and crannies. But if you want to achieve those visions and those ambitions and those goals that you talked through at the beginning, you dreamed of at the beginning of this call, you've got to actually sit down and be intentional. Because when you operate out of the nooks and crannies, you truly are operating out of overwhelm, and you're on your phone 24/7. You don't have strong boundaries. So I encourage you to sit down with a prioritized 1 hour every couple of days. If you can't do it every day, every couple of days, sit down for at least an hour of focused work. And just like Carrie was saying, start with the birthdays, then get to sending out messages, then doing stuff on social, then training yourself. So ask yourself, am I actually doing that? Am I moved and driven by my goals? If not, then you need to sit down and you need to make some new goals. Am I finding emotional attachment to my responses? Or am I trusting the process, and am I learning from these things? Or am I truly being emotionally triggered when people say no, or when people turn off their orders? I want you to know, if you're in that place, everybody goes through that. It's not just you. So I encourage you to figure out a way to not be attached emotionally. Get out of your head and stop telling yourself stories. If there are things that you need to be changing and adjusting, then do that. But don't tell yourself stories and be emotionally attached to those responses. Because I told Tamara no for 4 years. It had nothing to do with her. I wasn't ready. It has nothing to do with you. So don't be attached, because that's going to create desperation in your business. And that's not a place that we want to operate from. 2 more things. Do I have small goals and a plan of action to achieve those small goals? Be honest with yourself. If you don't, start creating some small goals in a way that you're going to achieve those goals, and then celebrate the heck out of them once you do achieve those. And then lastly, am I showing up to the things that are offered to help me? So like with Hannah, Tamara hosted an incredible event. I didn't have to host it, but it changed everything for my business. It changed everything for my belief. So show up for the things that are offered to you. The things that we offer in this page and in this thread, in this team, are prayed over and they're thought over and they're worked on so hard and so intentionally to help you with your wins. So show up to those things. Gosh, you guys, I'm sorry. This is much longer than I anticipated. I love you. Thank you for being here with me. We'll go over this real quick. This is a success cycle and this is a failure cycle. I want to encourage you, if you are in that failure cycle, that's not a good place to be. It's negative. It's pulling you down. It's not serving you, where you're operating out of negativity and failure and lack of confidence. I want to encourage you to be over here on the left side. This is the John Maxwell success cycle. You try it out, you fail, you learn, you improve, and then you try again. That is the success cycle. Bob says, when there is something blocking progress on your ambition, so an obstacle that we have, people saying no, maybe you're not growing, not getting the paycheck that you want, he says, don't bail out. Figure out what the problem is and change your approach. It's possible. There are thousands and thousands of jewels in this company that have had to go beyond what was blocking their progress. They didn't bail out. They figured out what the problem was and they changed their approach. And they're still doing that to this day. So I encourage you guys, do not let obstacles, your brain, your mindset, the no's, people quitting, don't let that stop you from chasing after your ambition. Do not bail out because it's hard. Figure out what the problem is and then change your approach. But again, ask yourself those questions that we shared just a few minutes ago, because that's going to be the answer to a lot of the problems. So as a final recap, the 4 areas that I see as core, as foundational for you and your business, because without these, you are going to have a really hard time growing. Just like Lacey Wilcox shared in our Golden Above call last week, the roots, the depth is what holds you. And so this right here, these 4 areas are your roots. Let them grow deep, let them be big, let them be strong and foundational for your business, so that way you can pass that on to your future team as your team is growing. So the firm foundation would be vision, belief, action, and resilience. And again, the good and encouraging thing is that it's not up to anybody else. You get to strengthen these. This isn't something that you have to rely on somebody to do for you. You get to strengthen these. You have that capability. And if you want that firm foundation, these are the 4 areas that you really, really need to work on. And in closing, Bob says, my big old buddy Bob, somewhere out there, someone is praying that you'll put down your pen and spring into action. Stop talking about what you want to do someday. Get started. Don't wait for the right day, a full moon, or a fairy to land on your nose. Make up an 8th day of the week if you need to. You guys are so capable, absolutely capable. Don't overcomplicate this. This is all about you growing, you getting into action, you believing, and you being resilient. If you're in a place where you're hearing this tonight and you're like, okay, this is for sure my issue. This is the pinpointed area of where I'm struggling. Reach out to your Jewel upline or your working upline, and you guys collaborate together. But I encourage you to keep showing up, keep learning, keep growing. This Thursday night, we have our opportunity call where we've got a few of us sharing a little bit of our business testimony, and then I'm going to be talking through, I promise it won't be so long-winded, but I will be talking through at a high level for your people who want to stay on and hear, okay, how do I make money? I will be talking through what that looks like. So plug your people in, your people on your team who are having great results and they're loving the products. Encourage them. Hey, come and listen to this. I don't know if this could bless you the way that it has me and all my friends, but I'd love for you to sit in on this and see if this is something that could bless you the way it has us. So we will be back here for Monday Training and Inspiration on the 24th with Melissa Crow being our inspiration. She's got an incredible story And then I will definitely try to pare this down so I won't be so long-winded for how to lead your team. A what's next, how do I do this type of thing. If you are in my senior gold and above book study, you guys will go to, let's stick with our normal room 3. If you are with Hannah, Liz, and Lacey, I think, are you guys still doing your book study too, Hannah? Okay, so if you're with Hannah, Liz, and Lacey and you're wanting to do that book study, go to room 2. If you're a senior gold and above, go to room 3. Kara, are you guys, okay, perfect. And then everybody else, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you guys for being on. I really, really appreciate it. Let me get that breakout room. If you need help being moved into a room or if you have questions, let me know. Do you guys need help with me moving you anywhere?
Can you move me?
Is that Ash?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you coming to me, Ashley, or to Hannah?
Sure.
You're coming to Dream Big?
Yeah.
Okay. And Daynita, are you, or am I saying your name right? Rana? Rana, is that right? Okay. Am I needing to move you guys anywhere? Rana, you are with Hannah, Liz, and Lacey? Oh, I think you're, I guess I need to stop recording this. I don't know how to stop that.